Uh, welcome, people. Welcome, welcome, and more welcome. Y'all know what time it is. It is wind down Wednesday
Right.
time. It's time that we get busy. It's wind down Wednesday time. Um, Text me, sir. But this is what we do. This is how we do it. It is 6 o'clock, and we getting ready to make this thing happen today. I am sitting here, and y'all know who I am, and y'all know this, on the other side of the screen is my girl.
Hey, y'all know who I am. It's Shanice. We do this every week. Wind down Wednesday. So thanks for tuning in
Thank
globally. Thank you.
Yes, globally, locally, statewide. We just appreciate you tuning in, watching us, clicking in. Because last week, we were well. First of all, before we get into last week, how you been? How have you been? Because it's been like it's
Wow.
it's been a minute since we
Yeah.
um get mine. It's
I
been a
always
minute.
say, I always say I woke up. So we
Yes,
start with that. I'm get another chance to wake up. So
it's been a minute, and and it's always good to see you. So how's the fam?
you as well. Everybody's good.
Good.
Yes. How about you? What about you?
No complaints. I ain't complaining about anything. God is good. Yet still living and alive in my life, so I don't have any complaints. It's been great. Other than this morning, I woke up with a headache. And it's like it still kind of bother me just a little bit. But this too will pass. This too will pass. The
Right.
unfortunate piece. I went to the doctor and got some medicine, and I ain't the one to take medicine. So these whatever he got me on, some muscle relaxants and some other stuff. I ain't the one to be taking medication.
You gonna
So
pray it
other than
away. Pray it
yeah,
away. Pray it
we're
away,
gonna
boo.
pray that thing away. So I ain't the one to take medicine. So I'm just gonna ride the wave. I'm gonna ride it out and see what happens. So other than that, life is good. Things are going well. There are no complaints at all. Family's good. All is well. All is well.
Well, it don't make a difference to complain anyway. Now, does it change anything?
Nothing, not once. So what's the point if we gonna keep complaining about it? Because my thing is this: why complain about it? Why not just go and do something about it?
That's what. That's exactly.
Hey,
That's
how was
exactly
the
it.
comedy show? How was the comedy show?
Oh, it's pretty good. It was a nice turnout. Folks, they showed up, showed out. Hey, Robert, thanks for
What's
tuning
going
in.
on, Robert? Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Good, good. Nice show, nice turnout.
Oh yeah, definitely. They show up for their people. I can definitely say that they support. The support was in the building. It was a nice lineup. So yeah, it was a really nice. It was a really good experience. Got to make some connections with folks. So yeah,
Good.
exciting.
Laughter is good for the
Oh
soul.
man, you ain't never lied.
Laughter is good for the soul. So we all need to laugh more, and complain a whole lot less.
Right, right.
Things probably go well. Things will go well. So down to the nitty gritty. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. So last week, I couldn't log in and talk and all that other stuff because we were over in
On location.
we were on location in another place. Hey, what's going on,
Hey,
Marva? Thank
Martha.
you for tuning in and listening and watching. Miss you at church. Hope to see you soon. Hope to see you soon. But glad to know that you're on the other side of this thing, about to listen to what we're talking about. Maybe you can chime in and help
Yes,
us out a little bit.
please chime
Uh,
in.
Sports Illustrated call. They want
Hi.
Robert. You got jokes. You got jokes, Robert. That's okay. We,
Yeah, you cut up. You cut up, honey. I was like,
you
okay.
know, the
A little
last
something light. It was a little something light. You know
it
what I
was a
mean?
little sunlight. It was a little sunlight, and it was a great time. The weather was beautiful. It was hot. Being with, people don't understand that when you go places, it's very difficult for you to be somewhere with at least 50 people, at least, right?
With a
So
lot of
you get at least
personality.
50 people. You got several different personalities, but to
Yep.
be with at least 50 people, and some and some you don't know. Um, but Robert say, not jokes, the truth. Go ahead, lady. Hey, when you get our age, you got to maintain. You got to keep it at some point. You got to take care of yourself. How about that? And we talked about
Yep.
that for a long time. But when you're with a lot of people, it every once in a while, you and I know we've been around a whole lot of people. When you go on these trips with groups, what's going on,
Yeah,
Akeem?
King, where you been? Where you been? He been
Look,
missing.
he told me I love the tan. Thank you. I'm trying to go back and get some more, but
I know
thank you
that's
very
right.
much. You know, the sun was beaming and it was great, but it was hot. But to go and be with a group of people, it's very, very, very hard to be with somebody that's somebody over here is nagging and somebody over there is nagging and somebody over there is talking about somebody else. To be on a trip where none of that happened, none of that took place. I mean, absolutely none. Everybody gelled together. Um, everybody, it's just like nobody met anybody that they felt was a stranger. And to
Right.
be in an environment like that, it was just great.
Go.
What's going on, Angela? What's
Hey,
going on?
Angela.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Because we know when you get people in places, and sometimes unfortunately when we get women in places, they cackle and they want to get in their little groups and all that other stuff.
Very
Here's
negative.
trying to escape the Delta variant. I hear you. We all trying to escape that booger. But which means that we got to stay masked up. Okay, keep your
Wash
mask
them hands. Keep them
and,
hands
and, and
clean.
stay clean and go on get that shot. Go on get that shot. Get it. But we've been a lot of places. Marva said I haven't been to church in so long. I'm gonna have to go to the
Hey,
girl.
Marva. Hey,
You
Marva.
ain't,
I'm right there with you, but I'm
I was
ending it.
gonna
I'm
say
ending it,
you ain't
baby.
by
I'm ending
yourself.
that.
Gonna be a whole
Listen.
lot of people.
Okay.
A lot of them that's got to go to new members class, but that's all right.
Listen.
The thing is, long as you go, that's pretty much all that matters.
That's it. Just start. Just start at some point. That's it. When
Exactly.
you
You got to
ready and
start
it's
somewhere.
time, that's when you'll start.
Exactly. You got to start somewhere. But back to, and we're just talking about it, people. So chime in if you got
Yes.
something to say. But when you're going on a trip and you got people, and it's a whole lot of them, the personalities are different. And the thing about it, women personalities are totally different. And we have a tendency to, some of us, not everybody, some women have a tendency to do more gossiping and talking about what somebody got on, what they ain't got on, or what they wouldn't wear,
Not a
what they would
negativity.
wear.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this whole entire trip was wonderful. None of that took place. When I said it was a lot of positive energy, it was a whole lot of positive energy going on. And it was couples that had been married for 30 years, 7 years, 5 years, 29 years, 100 years. I mean, and then to meet, you know,
Variety. Yeah.
right, to meet other people from other places that have been married, or just got married, on their honeymoon, and you get the same vibe and you get the same energy. Phenomenal trip.
Yeah.
You couldn't. What more can a girl ask for? I mean, it was great. It was beautiful. I mean, the people were great. The music was great. The reason why we were there was celebrating the life of somebody turning 50. So, and then being married for 26 years. So it was great. The turnout was wonderful. We're already looking and planning the next trip. And of course, questions are asked. Well, who can go? Who can't go? Should we invite anybody else? Should we not invite anybody else? I said, well, you're best to be careful who you invite because you don't know
You want to
who
keep
can
that
come
going.
in
Yeah. You
and
want to
mess
keep.
up what you got going. So I know there are some people that I wouldn't dare ask to go on this trip. I would never, I ain't gonna reach out to them and ask them to go on this trip because they wouldn't fit in. So if you know that and you know that about people, then don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking earlier to somebody today. It's like, my celebration, I'm planning for it, down the road, a few months away from now. And they was like, well, why are you having so many? Why are you having two events? I was like, well, some people
That's
can
what I
come.
want. That's what I want to do.
That's what I want to
And
do.
I can't invite everybody to one thing. So you
Everybody
don't know what
can't
people
come.
got. You don't know what people got going on. So
Right. Everybody can't come. What's going on, Jabron? Brother,
hey,
little bit Arnold. Uh, everybody can't come, and you don't want to invite people. There's some people that come on this night that can't come on that night. Come on that night, can't come
right.
on this night. So you still want to be safe with the Delta variant going on. You still want to be safe because it ain't going nowhere no time soon. So, and you don't want people. It's just like me inviting somebody to come to your party, and then I don't say anything to you about it. They just show up with me. That's not right. You don't do that.
Right.
So you always got to be careful who you invite into your space and who comes to your, your private locations or whatever, with you and your friends. So we're talking about it. And with that being said, um, since you have to be careful about who you invite,
Mhm.
does the village really help us raise our children? Is the village really helping us raise our children? And who is the village? And what do you consider the village?
Wow. Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is, and it's a different time now. It should be about villages because obviously I grew up with a village and you did too. But nowadays it's like I said, it's a lot different. And I still you can still run into people who have that concept of, you know, village and inclusiveness, and if I talk to my kid, I could talk to your kid too without being attacked. Or there's still some people out there that's kind of what I call old school. Um, that can be a part of the village. But we're in a different time now, so that's something that you kind of gotta be careful. Like you kind of gotta you got to fill out the person, be around them maybe a couple times, be around their kid to get to a place to even know if that's someone that you know what I'm saying, you feel that you could build a village with. Because nowadays people don't want you saying nothing to their kid. Hey, Wanda, thanks for tuning
What's
in.
going on, Wanda? Thanks for
Um,
tuning in.
they don't want you saying nothing to their kid. They don't want you correcting them. They don't want you giving them no advice. They feel like they got it, and they take everything so personal, so negative. So, I think a village is definitely very, very, very primal. But you got to just choose your village wisely, and that takes a little bit of time.
Yeah. Um, it takes a lot of time. And the thing is, you said it, you have to be careful. But the thing is, why should we why do we have to be so careful about the village that's helping our children, the village that's helping my child, and the unfortunate piece about it is you said it, you gotta be careful because you really don't know the intentions unless you know that person. You don't know that person's intentions unless you really know them. How many people can you call in the middle of the night and say, hey, my child is this, or my child is that, and they actually get up, get moving, get going to come help you with your child? How many people can we? So do we really have a village, or do we have a system that's working like a village? I heard that you're not Officer Tucker anymore, Lieutenant now. Told me the other day, girl, hey, call me. Just call me. It's a long story. The village is different now. The parents want to hang with their kids. They do. But does that stop us from being the village that we grew up with?
Robert said that's a lot. I have young kids, 10 and 12. The village doesn't need to be big, but has to have some value, same value system as you. If not, they're not your village type, and that's true. That's so right, Robert. That's kind of basically what I said as well. Like you have to vet these people before you could just call them a village, because a lot of times what their values or their cores or their beliefs are may not line up to yours, and that matters. Obviously, in a village, we gonna all have different. In the right village, you're gonna have a different perspective, but for the
Yep.
most part, you're gonna be on the same page with things, especially when it comes to training up and talking to our youth and our children. So and I feel like not just kids need a village, adults. We need a village too. We need a healthy village. Like we need um other adults around, other people around that are going to call us accountable in all things and in all areas of our life. And we may not like what we're hearing, but at some point in time we'll get to the place where we can accept it and do something about it.
Right.
I think a lot of people are suffering, and even children now, from mental health issues because they don't have that village.
Right.
It's nobody to talk to, it's nobody to trust or depend on.
Right.
And it's a lot to be in this life and trying to do everything by yourself. Like it's just you can't.
And you're
You
right.
can't.
You cannot. And Wanda said it. A lot of big mamas are no longer here. And these kids are pretty much raising themselves. But the thing
Yep.
about it is, there are individuals like us that
I ain't a big mama, but you know,
was raised by big
I talk
mamas. You know what
I
I'm
talk
saying?
to you and give you some positives
Right.
and
We was
help
raised
you
by the
help
big
you where
mamas.
I can. Yeah, we definitely.
So why can't we, if we were raised by the same big mamas, why can't we just continue to carry that legacy? Why can't we just continue to do it? Because at the end of the day, we hope that our children will be able to be the big mamas that we are now
Yep,
to
yep,
somebody
that's for
else's.
sure.
So when I say the village, and the reason why I felt like I wanted to talk about this is because it actually really happened to me more than once this week
Right.
when I came back. And the thing about it is, you get a phone call and it's like, "Hey, Miss Tucker, this is so and so," and I'm like, "Who?" So and so. I was like, "Oh, what's going on?" And then they say, "Well, I need your help." So what do? If somebody calls you and they say, "I need your help," and they explain the situation, do you not help them? Do you say, "I don't have time for them"? And because we're talking about our generation that's now, we're talking about the now. We're not talking about 5, 10, 20 years from now. These
Right.
kids are our now. So we have to instill in them the now in order for them to be prepared for the future. So is the village, I mean, where is the village? Has it faded away? Did it go away? And is the system now what individuals are calling the village?
I hope not. I hope we ain't calling the system the village, because that'd be kind of bad. That would be really sad.
I agree.
If you can do something, then do something. If I get that phone call in the middle of the night and I know that I can do something and on the opposite side of that as the person being called, like that's a huge statement that person is
Huge.
making to even involve you.
Right.
Especially, if it's in the wee hours of the morning, like that speaks volumes in itself. And so therefore, if you can meet that need and be there, then do that. Be there.
Wanda says because of times and how society is now, that was in the 80s when we had big mamas. And so now big mamas is 36. There's a
True.
village now. It's people with whom we just know. And the thing about it, when I say the system, because at the end of the day, when I say the system, do we call the system our village? I feel like there are individuals that call the system their village, because at the end of the day, they're not calling me or you or the Wandas or Marva or Robert
Right.
or
Right.
Akeem. They're not calling them
Right.
Ashleys. They're not calling them. They're calling the system to come and be
Yep.
that village, but that ain't the right village that we should be calling, or they should be
Yep.
calling. So how do we change the mindset, and how do we get out of calling? Because that's exactly what they do. The system, they think the system is the village. The village is the system. And that's who they call instead of calling one of us,
Right.
this they call the system, which is now the village for them. And that's just,
Right.
it's crazy to
Yeah.
me
Because
how
that's
and why
all they
they
feel
have
they
it.
that's all they feel they have, or that's all that they know at this point in time, and they think that that's where they're gonna get the best support at, and it doesn't go that way. It's just not. So I mean, I encourage those who are out there, talk, have a, get to know more people, try to climb out of your shell a little bit, just for the sake or the benefit of your children, you
Right.
know, because again, whether you're a single parent or you're parenting together or you're married or whatever, like both, obviously the child need both parents, but the person can't do everything on their own. It just it, it's impossible.
Impossible.
It's
You gotta
impossible to
have
be
some help.
everywhere, work a job, try to help them with homework, try to cook, try to do
Yep.
this, and pick them up from practice, put them in
Yep.
the You know what I mean? Like you feel split 17,000 different ways. And so
Right.
if you can build a relationship with another dad or another mom or another family, you know what I mean? And say, hey, okay, I'm a little bit private, but for the sake of my kid, okay, let me try to get to know some people, you know, let
Right.
me try to be around them, and we do play dates out at parks
Right.
and, you know, stuff like that to just kind of see where their demeanor is and, you know, things of that sort to try to vet the person, you know, a gazillion one times before you feel comfortable
Yep.
enough to say, hey,
Yep.
can my child carpool with you to soccer because I had to work today, or I need to make dinner real quick. If I go to soccer, then we go eat dinner later, you know, just little, you got to start
Exactly.
small. It's just, you just definitely have to start small.
You do. You really have to start small because, like I said, it happened to me twice already this week where, they knew that they could call and depend and get help.
Right.
Like, how do you help them? Because there are ways we can help that the parents can't help, because
Right, right.
we know that the village that we grew up in and the village that raised us or helped raise us, we gotta that same mentality, we have to use that to
Yep.
help the person when they call us for the help. So we got to
Mhm.
use that same village mentality to help those that actually really want the help and need the help and that are asking for help. But the system is the village now for these parents, as Wanda
And
said, that's 36. Those are the grandmamas now.
yeah, and Carolyn, you are exactly. Oh my gosh, right. She said sometimes when you help, they don't tell you the whole truth. So sometimes you get caught up in a mess, and sometimes it's danger. Exactly, and that's one of the reasons why people pull back, or why they become reserved, or why they feel like I just got to do this on my own way
Right.
because they've been hurt. You know, they've been taken advantage of, and so I just say individually, if you can be a village for somebody, you know, in whatever capacity that may be taking them notebook paper once a week. I
Right.
don't know. I mean, it could be something really small, sharpening their pencils. You know, hey, leave your pencils on my front door. I'll sharpen them all, and then you can come back and pick them up. You know, it just starts small. Whatever small thing that you feel that you can do to be a part, then be that part, be that help.
Uh,
Because you're right, Carolyn, they do take your kindness for
they
weakness,
do. They do.
and it's different now.
It's totally different, and the fact of the matter is, it's so different now that you got to fight for them to even believe that you're there to help them instead of hurt them. I mean, you fight so hard to gain their trust and for them to have confidence in you. And when we were growing up in the village, it just was not that difficult. Um,
No,
it was not that hard. I
I mean,
mean,
and yeah, and even I mean, and you saying that, yeah, because at that time I think about my grandmother, like you would trust the person first, and then when they did something, then you wouldn't trust them no more. Like I was raised the total opposite. Like you don't trust the person, and they have to gain that. You know what I
right.
mean? Because you give them everything at once, and then you see that it's not, it's not then you're really hurt, and so you have to guard yourself, and
Yep.
so. Yeah, I remember, it being okay for you to knock on the neighbor's door and be like, hey, can I get some sugar? Or,
Exactly.
my grandmama sent us to the store with a list of stuff, and the store give it to her, and she ain't got the money right now, but
Right.
they gonna get the money, and they know they are, like, she good for it,
That's
like that.
that's
You
the
don't see
village.
that. Yeah, you don't see that no more. Like, I can't go to the store and be like, hey, got it. I need these items. Can I give it to you, in a couple days? No, if you ain't got it, you ain't getting it.
And the thing about it is, you said it too, is back then the village was, you could knock on the door and ask for something. You could knock on the door and sit on the stoop, or you could knock on the door and say, hey, can little Johnny sit here until I come back? Now you can't do
Mhm.
none of that.
No,
You can't go to the IGA or the Piggly Wiggly or the Winn Dixie and then
no.
ask them, hey, Mr. Joe, or hey, Mr. Smith, or hey, Mr. Bob. My grandma said, and my mama
Yeah.
said, oh yeah, they'd be like, tell Miss So and So I got her. But you
Yep.
can't do that now. I mean, even in the corner store, it's the system. The system has
Yep.
now become the village for our children. And the question is, not just for our children, for those 36-year-old mothers who are now the grandmas and who are now the mamas for our babies that are growing up. how can we get out of that system thought process and try to go back to, we said it before, there needs to be some kind of classes.
Man,
Somebody need to be trying to teach them how to be the village, because I don't think they know how to be the village. Just because you get a pair of shoes or somebody paying your phone bill does not mean that they are now part of your village, because now you're
right.
trusting them, because this it's a money thing. You're trusting them because they can
Well,
do
they
whatever.
gave me something, so now I have to give them something. Like it's not, there's no value. And like she was saying, like the trust has been broken
Yep.
so many times. You know, you like you said, you can't leave your kid on the stoop and come back and they ain't been raped or touched or talked to inappropriately or hit on.
Right.
Um, it's just really different right about now. So I mean, I say try to be that what you see is missing, as best you can, and get others to rally around you to do that as well, because there are a lot of people who want to be a village, but they don't have nobody around to village. You know what I
At
mean?
all. My thing is, like, in these urban areas, in these low income, I don't care which ones, Hispanic, Caucasian, Black, white, Puerto
Right.
Rican, whatever, in those low income areas, should they have a house that is considered the village house, where you can go to that house and you can pretty much get anything that you need out of the village house, whether it's information, whether it's some sugar and flour, a phone number to somebody that's in need. Why not have what you call a village house in those neighborhoods? And along with what Carolyn says, now you can teach parenting classes. But parenting classes weren't taught when we were growing up.
Mm-mm. But then no, they weren't. They're definitely needed. Oh my gosh, because people aren't being taught anything. And so then they become a parent and they don't know how to parent because they weren't ever parented. And so
Exactly.
it just continues and it continues. And yeah, we should be able to have a place. And that place that you're talking about, that used to exist where you can go and get what you needed. That was the church.
It used to be.
That was the church. You didn't have to fill out an application and say how much you was making and what you needed. The need was met. And that
Yep.
was that. And then when you got in a better situation, you gave, and it just keep going backwards and forth like that. But
Right.
now it's not like that.
And Carolyn, you're right. You did do that but guess what? You were part of the system. You were part of that same system that they feel is the village now. And it's really not the village. But how many times, when I was young, growing up, raising and helping raise nieces and nephews and cousins, how many
Hmm.
times did you think somebody brought a baby over to me and showed me how to hold them, showed
Right.
me how to feed them, showed me how to change the pampers? That doesn't happen now. How many times can you go somewhere and Big Mama say, "Come on, let me help you bake
Yep.
this cake. Let me show you how to bake this cake." They're not doing that. But
Nope.
I mean, where the village, the system has now become the village for our children. It's unfortunate, but it's definitely, this is just mine. I'm not an expert, people. Me and Trinice are not experts on this. We didn't
Nope.
go to class, we ain't got no degrees. These are things that we just see and we know that happen. The system now is the village. And what do I call the system? What do I call the system? Like I told Carolyn, the police department is the system. 241 Kids is the system. Hamilton County Children's
Yep.
Services, whatever, that's the system.
Yep.
Um, you name the people on TV on these ratchet videos, that's the system. The music really, you only do so much. You can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to become a part of what the music says, because back in the day the music was the music, but the music isn't what raised us either. So
Well, no,
um,
it didn't raise us, but yes, Carolyn, the morals, the values, the compass is completely busted. Do you hear me? It
gone.
ain't messed up. It's busted. And
It's
so
gone.
a lot of it is assumption. You know,
Yep.
if I'm a nurse in a hospital, for example, and a young girl that's 12 or 13 or 15 had a baby, and I'm on that shift and I'm helping her, and I see she's struggling, her mom's not there, her sister's not there, I'm going to teach her. I'm going to tell her. I'm going to show her, hey, breastfeeding is more healthier for your baby. Hey, you need help changing your baby, or what
Right.
questions do you have? Or even if she doesn't seem like very cleanly, even at that time, I'm just gonna take it upon myself and say, hey, do you need help with, a lady should this or a young girl should that, not in a negative way, but in a positive manner, because a lot of times we just assume that the person knows. And even with me working with young ladies for a period of time, they just really didn't know. Like, they didn't know like what undergarments to wear under certain
Right.
dresses, and she didn't know that it's been a week, you need to wash that shirt because it's got a ring around the collar. Like, it's like they really haven't are not being taught at all. They really aren't being
Right.
parented, and so therefore they're not being parented. So then they're turning into parents who are also not parenting. And so if you see an opportunity where you can slide in and help, just slide in and help, because that's how you unwork
Yep.
them off that system.
Yep.
That's
And
how you say, oh wow, nobody ever told me that, like, that care and that value, like, wow, them seeing that you consider them and you care about them, like, now they're going to be reaching out to you and asking you questions and calling. Now
absolutely.
you have became their village just through not making an assumption.
Yep. Yep. And you're right, Kellen. The music back then was, it was about,
Family,
yeah,
love, how I
love.
feel about you, but it wasn't
Exactly.
so vulgar. It wasn't so, let me see that ass. It
Yeah.
wasn't so
It
blunt
wasn't
and
disrespectful.
disrespectful and rude. Yeah, and that's just like the time we are, and us as women, we've accepted a lot that we
Yep.
should shut
Yep.
down. So that's why everything seems so cool, because the stuff that was wrong back then, everybody's making it okay now, and
Yep.
it's not. It's not
It's
okay.
not. And that's why I said that the there are different pieces of the system that I call the village that's raising our children, because the music is a part of the village
For
that's
sure.
raising our children, because they are listening to those vulgar words that's coming out, shoot them up, bang bang, so much, if you're doing this that and the other, they roll up, shoot them, or whatever the case may
Right.
be, you know
Right.
drop them, you're gonna find yourself in a box, okay, what kind of box? A cereal box, and
And
you
that, and,
know,
and that, and that's acceptable. So now, in that music, now that's how I'm a female. I want a guy to approach me, like I want him to talk to me like that now. And
right.
that's how, oh, as a guy, I'm supposed to talk to a female like this. Like, it all goes hand in hand.
Yep.
It's a circle.
And the role models, we don't have them
No
anymore
such
like we
thing.
used
No
to.
such thing. Especially,
Um, we don't. And going back to what you said about, you looking at the little girls, and you know, back then, it was like, okay, go over there, come here, let me sit down and comb your hair, you
yeah,
know, because you didn't, it was taught that you just don't go out looking any kind of
in
way.
a way.
Um,
Yep.
Here, get this rag and go in there and clean yourself
Stuff
up, and,
up.
and
Yep.
wipe yourself, and this is how you do it. Those things
Yep.
were demonstrated when,
Yep.
when girls went on their menstrual cycle, or
Yes.
period, or whatever you want to call it. They were actually really taught what you're
Yep.
supposed to do, how you're supposed to do it, when you're
Yep.
supposed to take care of yourself. It's not something now that you have to look on. The system is also video and YouTube and
You're
social media.
right, cause you can
That's the
YouTube
system.
anything. You
You
can
can
YouTube
YouTube it all.
how do I kiss a boy? Oh, I
Yes,
can just YouTube
yes,
that. Like,
yes.
it's that's crazy.
When we didn't grow up like that, everything was taught.
Hmm.
It's like,
Everything was actually, you had to be hands on. Everything was actually a learning experience. I
right.
tell my daughter the same thing. Like, when we had book reports, we had to actually go to the library and go through the fish. We had to actually look for the word.
Yep,
Like, now
yep.
everything is served to you on a silver platter. There's no work behind it, so there's no
None,
appreciation.
none.
And so when there's no work, there's no appreciation. So it's just like, this is what I'm supposed to get. Like, no,
Right. And
no, no,
it's
no.
like they're being handed things now on a silver platter. So those things are the village that's raising our children,
Yep.
because they're no longer the real big mamas that are able to help raise these kids the way they should be raised. Because if that was the case, I think a whole lot of the children having children, that number would be lower. You
Yeah.
know, they would be focusing on different things in life and how they should live and how they should grow up. And I'm like you, it's like, I teach mine and I taught mine. They treat you with the utmost respect. You
Right.
demand it. You demand respect because that's the way we were taught. You know,
Hmm.
and I walk around and I say it all the time. And my friend was like wearing my little outfits when I was on vacation. I would always be like, my grandma told all of us,
To
stay
cover it
covered up
up
for
for
Jesus,
Jesus.
stay covered up for Jesus. And he was like, oh, I can't tell. I can't tell. I was like, well, there's sometimes you gotta break the rules here and there. So I do.
Well,
I try.
here's the difference though. It's tasteful. It's not slutty. You know what I mean? There's a difference.
Right,
My grandmother used to say, "You need to hold on to yourself. Hold yourself." You know what that means. That's old
right,
school. Like,
right.
there's some boundaries. Don't give them all everything
Exactly,
at one time. A little bit at a time.
exactly.
Shoot,
But that was
wearing
the
spaghetti,
village.
a spaghetti sleeve strap. A spaghetti strap shirt was doing a lot.
Exactly. Was
At
doing
this
a
time, it's like,
whole lot,
ooh, we get to see a little shoulder. You know what I mean?
baby.
So
And don't
they
go to
showing it
church
up.
without a slip on. That was another issue. You know what I'm
Or some
saying?
stockings. Listen,
Exactly. Or stockings. There's some things in life you just didn't do back then
wear
the way
red.
they were doing it now. It's
Wear
like,
red. Wear red. You don't wear
it's
red lipstick. You don't wear
exactly
red fingernail polish. That was the lady of the
nothing.
night. You was the lady of the night if you wore
You was
that.
a lady of the night. It's like we had, I'm a faithful. I love the Lord. We both love the Lord. And I'm in church faithfully on
Thank you.
some, as some of you are as well. Um, the Bible says, "Come as you are." It don't ain't no kind of way that you should be, look, or whatever. So there was somebody that joined church on Sunday, and I'm sure that's because they weren't raised by the village. They
Exactly. They
weren't
didn't know.
raised by the
They
village
honestly
that
they
we
honestly
were
didn't
raised.
know.
Yeah.
Right.
So the stuff that they came to church in
Mm,
is the stuff that they normally would wear out and about on a night when we kicking it.
right.
That's because they weren't raised by the village to say
Hey.
appropriateness. This is
Hmm.
this is the appropriateness of what you look like. But the Bible did say, "Come as you are," and
Right.
and like I told somebody else, I said that's probably all they had because that's all they know.
Right.
And you don't knock them for that. You just teach them what
Something different.
you teach them. And
And
is
that's another thing we've gotten away from. Like we won't talk. We won't pull the person to the. Well, I won't say we because I can't. But we won't pull the person to the side. You talk about them, laugh at them. Like, hey, let me talk to you for a minute.
yeah, be the
Now, don't
village,
take this personal.
right?
You know, but all this snickering and stuff that's going on in the corner, I'm gonna need to tell you why that is.
Be the real village. Be that real, true, honest, upfront village that's needed. Um, I mean, we know a lot of people that have kids,
Yep.
and we have helped in so many ways. And then there's sometimes, I never say cut a kid off. I never say give up on a kid
It's
because
never the kid. It's never the kid.
it's never the kid, you know, because if they know that you gave up, because you could be their last hope. You could be
Yep.
the only person that they believe and trust in,
And if you
or
break
they
that,
can count on.
yep.
And you say, that's it, I can't do it no more, I done tried, then guess what they have? At the end of the day, they are the system once again is being the village
Back
for
to
that
square
child.
one. Yep.
And we're back at ground zero. Even the school, let's just keep it 100. The
Listen,
school is not the village for our children. The
not
school
anymore.
system is not the village for our children. Used to be
Mm-mm.
able, you could go to the school, your child could go to school and be safe, feel safe. It was a safe haven, it was a safe place for them. They can't even do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
You know,
Or you had that teacher that was like, man, I really see so much potential. I see so much in this student. That will pick that student up on a Saturday and take them to the library or spend
yes,
some time with them. And it was
yes,
nothing. It was nothing sexual
right,
or nothing perverted. it was no perversion, happening, that this person was really genuinely seeing a teacher
Right.
that's really seen something this child, seen how the family may have been struggling and really stepped in.
Yep. I mean, that doesn't happen anymore. You
Mm-mm.
know, the teachers in the school has become a part of the system that is raising our children, and that system is no longer the teachers that used to take the time out, even go to the house and hang out with them, with their parents, with their mothers, with their siblings.
Yep.
It's they don't do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
No, Carolyn, like Carolyn said, not
No,
now.
ma'am.
They're not doing that anymore.
No,
It's like
ma'am.
I look
They
at the
halfway want to be bothered with your kid when they're in the classroom.
exactly.
So they're not about to take the time out of their precious day on no
Nope.
Saturday or no other day outside of the time that they scheduled to be at school with kids. They're not about to do that.
And because now it's like they are, especially if they have children of their own. It's difficult for them to try to raise theirs and somebody else's when they don't even care. They actually care more than the parents do.
Parent. Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's a tough place to be. That's a tough place to be.
and the system now, I feel, is now what I think is raising our children. The system is now the village. The village is no longer the village we once knew.
Right.
The system itself has now become the
The
village.
village.
And you can say whatever, how you want to say, you can disagree with me, and I'm fine with that. But obviously, the proof is in the pudding. But I still say if maybe someone listening can take this idea and put a house in urban areas and call it the village. So when they come, they can borrow some eggs. They can borrow some flowers. They can borrow some advice. They
And when
can
they get and then
say,
when they get it and they get extra, they can bring that flyer right on back down here. Give it to
exactly,
somebody else who need it. Get these
exactly.
eggs to somebody else who need it.
Yep.
Recycle it back out.
Cycle it back out, because at the end of the day, everything does not have to be a price put on it. Everything doesn't need to involve money all the time. And I think that's
I
what
think and you're right, money, and even so the social media. Like I don't have to, like, okay, so there was a time where I picked up a whole bunch of boxes and had my car just filled to capacity. Why? Because they was giving away free boxes. And so I started searching my mind for people that I think could use it or need it or whatever. Even random people I didn't even know. I was willing to
exactly.
just give it to just because
Yep.
I was at that place at that time and that was happening.
Yep.
And I don't know who had a need met. Nobody called me. And I
Right.
didn't take a picture of it and post it on social media. Like
Right.
that's not, and that's another thing. That's the part of the system that has ruined
That's
us.
the system.
It has ruined us as pure individuals.
That's
Everything has
the
to be
system.
posted on Instagram or everything has to be posted on Facebook. Now I do post a lot of food on there, but anyway, when you're doing something for somebody, you don't have that. That's not a pure intention. If you
Genuine.
have to post everything. Yeah, if you
Genuine.
have to post everything you do. Yeah. So if I see something, riding past somewhere and they giving away some stuff out and I can get a whole bunch of it, and because I know somebody will benefit, from it. I had my sister 6 kids. I thought about her. I thought about other people that I know. Like I said, random strangers, somebody that live next door to her. If you
Right.
can't use it, give it to
Right.
somebody over here in this neighborhood. Whatever. Like
Right.
the genuineness in people's thought process is no longer.
Nope. The
And it's
system.
sad.
The system
It's
is
sad.
now the village.
It's sad.
And you can say whatever the system is, whatever you want to put in place of the village being the village ain't the village it used to be. The system has now become the village that is now raising our children, even raising some adults who missed out along the way.
Listen.
And because who are they learning from?
And
The
it's never
system.
too late. You're never too
Yep.
old to do something different. You're never too old to learn something different.
You're
you
not.
know, and for learn anything from anybody, you know, at any age, like, and so,
But
you
you
know,
gotta have help. But in order for you to have help or get help, you gotta want it. You gotta want it.
that's
One
and
thing
that's
that
and that's key. That's primal.
yeah, you gotta want to help. One thing that I did not do was allow my child to sit in the house all day, even after school. You know, you're not gonna sit around in the house all day. They need socialness. You know, they need to be socially involved
Structure, yeah.
with others. You know, to see. You know, to get out more. Don't sit in the house. She knows that, and everybody know me. I'm not a homebody. You know, you can call me socialite, social butterfly, you know, or whatever the case may be. Meet no strangers kind of person or whatever. She's pretty much the same way because I never wanted her to stay in the house, be in the house, watching TV, you know, playing video games, you know. And I hear parents say, I said, oh, how is so and so doing? Oh, they ain't doing nothing but sitting at home playing video games. Well, that's because you're letting them. That video game is a system, is the village. That video game is the village because it's helping you raise your children.
Mm-hmm.
So you can say what you want to say and how
Gotta
you
make them
want
get
to
up
say
and get
it.
out, even when they don't want to, even when they don't feel like it. I'll be like, "Up, you know, you'll be all right. Let's
Right.
go."
But let's even say this. Children are doing what they see you doing.
That's true.
If they see you ain't doing nothing, guess
Then
what?
they ain't gonna want to do nothing. They ain't
They
gonna
ain't
do
gonna
nothing.
want to do nothing. And if they see you working and don't have time for them, guess what? They pretty much gonna raise themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because they don't have nothing else to look forward to. There's nothing else that they have to
You ain't
sit
made no
down.
time. You ain't made no time for them. You
No
ain't made no
time
time.
for them. So therefore, that's how the system has now become the village.
And that's that part of the system. That's how gangs started. You know, that's how a lot of kids get into gangs because they don't
Yep,
feel like they have a family or they don't feel like they belong because you know the family that they do have, they don't have time. Nobody has time for them.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, they're pretty much raising themselves. And you know, I was helping somebody the other day, and you know, they call me and say, "Hey, can you help?" Yeah. What's going on? Well, they're 14 and smoking weed. I'm like, huh? 14
Right.
smoking weed. Now you're 14, you can't be smoking weed. Okay, so they say it's legal. Do you have
I'm
a
good.
medical? Do you have a medical marijuana license? Prescription to have it. Then if you don't, then guess what? It's illegal. But not only that,
You're a child.
a 21-year-old was giving it to them, you know, providing them. It's like, what are you doing?
Right.
So as someone that was raised by an old village, you know, old village, they felt the need to reach out to me and ask me for help. So they got the help that they needed,
Right.
and all eyes on them. Let's see how it goes. So
Hmm.
you know, I'm not a, like I said, I'm not a firm believer of giving up on kids. It's just that you got to stay in contact. You got to make sure that they're continuously doing the right thing, or let them know, hey, I'm thinking about you. I want to make sure that you're on the right track. You know,
Yep.
that's what you do. You don't give up on them. You got to keep in contact with them and let them know that you care. Somebody got
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, because nobody else did. And then at some point in time when they get a little bit older and they start having families of their own or they just start living like life out here in this big world, they come back and talk to you and be like, you
Yep,
know what? I ain't have nobody, but I had you, you know.
yep. I can
That
remember. Yep,
that's
and
priceless.
it is. It's always, you know, good to hear and see when somebody that's 30 some years old now say, hey, Miss Tucker, I remember when, you know,
Right.
and I'm like, gosh, you remember that? And who are you? And where? I mean, like, oh yeah, you know. And a guy walking down the street a few months back, he was like, hey, Miss Tucker. I said, hey, how you doing? He was like, I'm good. I remember when y'all took us to Florida. I mean, so you know, it's like I never forget that day. I never forget that moment. You know, I'm glad to see you. I'm glad you're doing well. That's the village.
Right. Yep.
That's the village because when we took kids places that their parents couldn't take them,
Right.
you know, just so they could see that
Just like
there's
I have other experiences and know there's
exactly,
something outside of these four walls. They
yeah,
have to know that.
and let them know the system does not have to be your village. The village is the village for those that can knock on the door and ask for that sugar and that flour? Or
Hmm.
can you, hey, Grandma Betty, can you sew this up for me? I got a hole in my suit. I got a hole
Yep.
in my dress. I got a hole in my shorts and my jeans. Can you fix it for me? I mean, so it was, man, you hear me? You can't even do that now. It's like, where do they do that at? Where do they do that at?
Right.
Where does it happen? So the system is the village. And how do we fix it? Or can we fix it? Or can we begin to try to fix it? I think we
We
can.
can. We can. I mean, whatever little bit we do, and that person sees, and other people surrounding us see. I mean, it'll become a trickle down effect,
Yep.
and it may not seem like it's nobody's catching on. It may not seem like it's not really happening. Nobody's paying attention, but it's happening. It's people paying attention.
I just think that we need to um, get that house in those urban areas. Somebody need to take that and grab it and run with it and
Yeah.
call it the village house. Call it the village house. That
Yeah.
house has everything that they could need, everything that they could possibly need, and you just don't leave them hanging, because that was the village back then. Nobody was left behind. Nobody really was left
No. No.
behind.
Never. Never.
Nobody. I can remember the bus coming when I was a little girl, and the bus didn't take off and leave because I wasn't ready. It waited. It stayed there and waited until, okay, got your shoe on, it's tied up. Okay, boom, go on, see you later. And then the bus driver waving at you. Okay, see you later. I mean, so
That's
it's like,
that's why it's so ironic now when you do something nice for people that they really are caught off guard. Like, man,
yep,
really? And
yep,
it's hard to accept because generally people do things with an intention behind it
exactly.
instead of doing something because, oh, God placed it on my heart to do.
Yep,
You know,
yep,
it's always something attached to it, and it used to never be that way. It used to be, the bus is coming. I'm gonna stop the bus. I don't ride the bus, but I'm gonna stop it for you because I
right,
know you got to get on. You know what I'm
exactly,
saying? Like, it
exactly.
used to be like that. Like, well, get him here. Get you could say, hey, get in my car. I'll take you to the next stop. You
Yep,
can't do that no more.
nope.
They
You could,
done took your car and threw you out.
and not only that, when you see we used to be driving down the little dirt roads, yeah, because we had dirt roads. We used to be driving down the dirt roads. You could pick somebody up and actually put them in your car and take them
And
to
not,
and
yep,
take
and
them
not
to the
have to be
store.
harmed.
I mean,
Yep,
and don't have to worry about nothing happening to you.
yep.
I'd be doggone if you pick up somebody now and try that, a
Right.
total stranger to try that baby. Would be Somebody be
I
like, you got
mean,
the GPS on?
I would advise you not to, but
GPS on her phone? Is it still on?
whatever,
Yeah, you know?
right? Whatever God is leading you to do, yeah, be led by Him in all things. I'll just say that much because
Exactly. Exactly.
it's a different time like right now, and if you're not being led by Him, it's gonna be a uproar, a
Baby.
continued uproar with a lot of things.
Yes. Yes. So, continue to be the village that you can be for anybody. Don't limit yourself
There you go.
to what you can do for a handful of people.
Right.
Just continue to be that village for everybody that you can be the village for,
Cool. Yeah.
and make a difference. Continue to make a difference in somebody's life, whether it's a small gesture to pay their bus fare, or buy them breakfast in the morning. It's just be that village, be that village that helps somebody, not the system village,
Right.
because the system is currently now the
Very
village.
broken and super flawed,
Yes.
and like we all are.
Everything is about the mighty dollars,
Yep.
unfortunately. So
The price of the test.
yes, we can get out of that. We can get out of that stage just a tad bit. Things might go fairly well. But in the meantime, in the between time, y'all know it's Wind Down Wednesdays. Yes, Carolyn, if everybody paid it forward, we probably would get back to the village that we once were back in the day.
It's so funny she said that because I was thinking about that too. That it was one period of time. I can't remember what year it was. Might have been a couple years ago that a lot of people were paying it forward. If it was a car in front of them, they was paying for whatever the car behind them got, or in the grocery store, you see somebody looking like they struggling a little bit. You
Right,
would,
right.
pay it forward. Like I haven't heard anybody say that,
Me
or
either.
haven't seen that in a long time, in a while.
Me either. But I will do that. They'll
Same
say,
here.
"Oh, don't worry about it." I was like, "No, okay. Well, how about the person behind me then? How about you take care of them on
Yep.
me? Or here, this is for that person. Oh, they need this or they need that. I got it. Don't worry about it. And don't tell. I don't need no notoriety. I'm that kind of
Exactly.
in the back. I like to watch and do what I can because I'm blessed for many reasons.
And
And it's
it
because
ain't for getting no accolades from nobody.
no, it's because God has just truly been a blessing to me. And if He blesses me, then I can bless somebody else. And
That's right.
don't have no issue with doing that. So pay it forward so we can
Pay it
get the
forward.
village back.
There
So
you go.
we can get our village back. Pay it forward so we can get our village back and the taken away from the system. All we need is a little bit by little bit by little bit.
That's it.
A little bite here and a little bite there. Sooner or later, we'll have it back the way it is. But hey, somebody need to toss that thing. We be giving y'all all kind of ideas. Go on and do the village house.
Go on and do
Move
that
on.
thing. Get somebody to write some grants for you, or get
The
somebody to,
village house.
yeah.
All you need is just need to be called the village house. That's it. It just needs to be called the village house. And do just what the village did for you and me and Chanice, for the old heads back in the day, the big mamas that are no longer here.
Yeah.
Let's bring it back through the village house. So in the meantime, in the between times, we thank you all for tuning in. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Tell everybody, if there's something that you want us to talk about, we were going to talk about something else, but we feel it's more important that we talk about the village and our kids because the
It's needed.
Time is now. The Delta variant is taking over, and it's because our children are part of the system village, and they don't believe in the vaccine. And our younger millennials are no longer believing, and that's a part of that system village. It ain't a part of that big mama village. So help us out, pay it forward, do what you can, and let's try to keep this thing moving in a positive way. So we've come to the part where we got to say, holla back at you.
That's right.
And I'm gonna not take this medicine and try to deal with this little headache. What's going on, Carolyn?
Hey,
Love you. I'm gonna
yes.
be calling you, Carolyn. I got something to tell you. But we love you too. And thanks for tuning in, and thanks for watching us, and thanks for your input, on because she was a part of that village. Her mama was a big mama in
Right.
in the community, in the neighborhoods and all of that. So we know, and she knows how that thing works because she is a part of the village where she lives, because she opens up her backyard to kids all in the neighborhood. You drive past her house backyard full of kids just playing all over the place.
That's what's up. That's what's
trying to
up.
keep the babies as safe as she possibly can when she can. So we love you for that, Carolyn. But we got to get up out of here.
Yeah, we sure do. So my positive quote is, be the village where you can and when you can.
And that's right. Be the village when you can, where you can, and why you can do it. Because we know why you're doing it is because you're going to love what you do, and you're going to love how you're doing it. And don't think that it's always about you. Think about somebody else sometime. And y'all know me, I always say it's better to give than it is to receive. Until the next time, holla back at your girls. We'll talk to y'all later. We out. Love you.
Bye.